Of all the new evidence, by far the most persuasive is that provided by the host of witnesses of whom the jury never heard. If you go to South Hetton today, you'll find the people more interested in the welfare of the Hetton Lions Football Club than in the fate of two convicted killers. But the evidence of some local people is of great significance. You'll recall that the police say that the damaged Mark 10 was parked for more than 5 hours underneath Pestpool Bridge with a body in the back. And yet the extraordinary thing is that more than 40 people passed by the car on that fatal night. They were miners in the main, going to and from work. Did any of these missing witnesses see the damage to the car? Did any of them see a 14-stone bleeding body in the back seat? We took a Mark 10 Jaguar back to the bridge so that Jim Bradbury could show us how he passed the car at 2:30 on January the 5th, 1967.
I retraced my steps to make sure that it was a Jaguar car. I put my hand on the bonnet, leaned across the bonnet for to look at the mascot. And I always contended if the bonnet had been raised up with my weight as I leaned across the car, it would have gone down, it would have sagged. I turned and I went to work. And as I was going by the car, I looked in. And if there'd been anyone in that car when I passed that morning, I would have seen it.
Was the light on?
The light was on, yes. And the light was coming through the car. I could see the light shining into the car. And as far as, well, I'd swear down, there was no one in that car when I passed that morning.
We've talked to a number of other people who passed the car that night. Tommy Feather passed an hour after the police say the murder took place, when we know that Stafford and Livaglio were in Newcastle.
I was approaching the bridge and the car was parked directly under the bridge, and two rear lights were on very bright, as though the stoplights were on. And there was a car coming the opposite way, and I had to slow down, and a white arm came out of the car and waved me down.
And what did you think that was?
I thought it was a police car.
How closely did you look at the car, in fact, as you drove past?
Well, pretty close, because at that time in the morning, I thought it was unusual for a car, whether he'd run out of petrol or what, you know, and it was just unusual for a car to be parked in that position, you know.
And how certain are you that the car wasn't damaged?
Well, really, sir, you know.
When I got the fit, I said to one of the blokes, I said, there's a brand new Jag on the bridge there, anybody wants it?
Was the car damaged when you passed it?
We never noticed any damage on it. I mean, I wouldn't have made the remark it was a brand new Jag, it would have been damaged, would it? It did look really brand new.
Do you believe that you would have noticed had it been...
I think I would. After seeing the photographs that we saw, I think I would notice it.
One window was shot out. Do you believe you would have noticed that?
Oh, definitely, because Stan and I walked off the path on the road and came on the upside of the car.
Right, it was snowing pretty heavy there. I cleared the snow on the leg what was burning. And with walking along, I just rubbed my right hand all along the full length of the car and cleared the snow. You know, just the width of my hand.
And did you notice any damage to the car?
No, no.
Did either of the people who were with you notice any damage?
No, no. We couldn't see no material damage there.
And if it had been damaged, you're sure you would have
seen it?
yes,
yes.
Well, ever since it happened, you know, it runs in your mind, and you think and think and think about it, and no way can you remember it being damaged.
And as I drove past it, I looked at the car again, you know, I watched it all the way past. And I could see through the car, could see into it. Don't know whether the windows were up or down, like I say, I didn't stop. And even as I went past, I looked through my mirror, you know, and it looked all right to me.
What time did you pass the car?
3:30 in the morning.
And what do you remember about it?
It was just that the side lights was very dim. And I looked through, tried to look through the window to see if there was anything there. There was nothing there, but I could see.
These are some of the 27 people we've spoken to who passed the Mark 10 that night. Many of them were vague, but not one said they saw any damage to the car or a body in the back.
If the prosecution case was right, a brand new Mark 10 Jaguar with a 14-stone body lying in the back, propped up against the window, with extensive damage to the front of the car, had been parked underneath a lamppost in a very quiet little mining village all night. It was the sort of place, a very poor mining village, where a Mark 10 Jaguar in itself would attract suspicion. Indeed, many of the witnesses we found had actually looked inside the car, looked at the car carefully, and wondered why it should be parked there in the middle of the night. Not one of these people, and as I say, the numbers ran to something like 40, of whom admittedly not all had looked inside the car by any means, but not one of these people saw any damage or anybody in the car. In my view, if a jury had heard that, they wouldn't have been able to accept that the prosecution case was right, because at least one person should have seen something.